No offense, Khaled, but I think the shit already hit the fan. You've been holding a dog with fleas for 5 years and hemorrhaging capital. So I'm going to propose something. I think the conversation is always from me as the buyer. I'm always looking for a zero down deal. You don't even care about the capital. Like that's what it sounds like. You care about the security. Okay, well, what does that look like? Okay, Effie, here we go. You got your time in the sun. Let's do it.
Hi, Pace. Thank you very much. Seth had brought a deal and we spoke with the seller, but we couldn't quite figure out how to make this deal work. The seller wants to sell it. I would love to buy it if the numbers make sense. But one of the things is I couldn't comp it because Privy didn't show anything.
So are you buying it on cash or on terms?
It has to be creative.
Okay, so what do I need to comp it for?
Well, because if they have a value on the property, and I think that that's more than fair, but how do I know?
What do you care?
Well, because eventually one day I may sell it.
Okay. You're going to move in this house.
Yes, I'm going to move in this house.
You're overthinking it.
Okay.
Khaled, right?
Yep.
Hey, Pace.
Hey, Khaled, how you doing, brother?
Good. I'm watching you on the Zoom right now.
Amazing. Catch me up to speed, bro.
Yeah, so we bought the house about 5 years ago as a fix and flip, and the inspection didn't show some things, like the fact that it all had cloth wiring and yada, yada, yada. So we ended up getting upside down into it. We rented it for 5 years. And so now I moved to Colorado. I just want to get rid of the place. So we've got it listed for $440 on the MLS. And we've got probably 3 to 4 people looking at it a day, but no one's made an offer yet because it's got some weird characteristics. We took a mortgage out in our corporation's name.
Okay.
And then we owe my partner. Mother lent us $100,000 to originally buy the place, so we're into it for about $340. We have to walk away with $340. Plus, I have to pay the realtor who put it on the MLS. He's been showing it for the last week.
Okay, got it. And what are you looking for? You in a perfect scenario, obviously, if I was buying the deal, I would want no money down, take over those debts. But it sounds like you have a personal loan associated with it. So what's the expectation with that $100,000 personal loan?
It's my partner's mother. She's got to be paid back. It's a line of credit we've been paying interest on for the entire time, and
okay.
She's got to be taken out. She's got to be taken out. There's no options there.
Okay, so I immediately look at that deal, Khaled, and I think you'll agree with me, especially being a pretty savvy real estate investor. What would be the purchase price of the deal, like in a perfect world for you?
For me, it'd be $420.
Okay, so $420. So if you wanted $100,000 basically to wipe out your partner's mom, we're looking at a 25% down payment on a deal that has like cloth wiring and some other things like that. I immediately go, why wouldn't I just give 25% to a bank and go buy what I want?
Yeah, the reason why we were upside down was because we had to put so much in to get it to the point where we could sell it. And then the third party, who's no longer part of the deal, was like, I'm not losing money on this deal.
Makes sense.
And so we're like, okay, so let's rent it. Well, it's really a unique property. Effie, God bless her, she if it suits her needs, we're excited about it. But
what's a different approach to that $100,000? Is there a timeline that you could extend the expectation to like 24 more months or something like that, so Effie could refinance at some point?
Well, she would have to pay the interest on it, and that's what we've been paying every month.
What's your payment on the 240 plus the 340? Like, what's your total PITI?
Total with everything is just shy of $3,000.
Got it. Okay, so what are you guys renting it for right now? Probably not that much.
$3,000.
Oh, dang. Okay. So you've been holding this thing for 5 years, not making really any money.
No, it's been a dog with fleas.
Got it. Okay. Totally.
I'm not sure I want a dog with fleas.
Okay, cool. So you got a $3,000 total cost of the payment, and your renter's paying at $3,000. What's your renter's situation? Are they month to month, or how much?
The renter left.
Oh, they left.
The
okay.
renter left. Yeah, last month.
So we got a vacant house. So now you're not breaking even. You're actually hemorrhaging money right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would imagine, I'm going to throw out a perfect scenario for a buyer. Like, forget about Effie, just any buyer, right? Or me in this situation. I would look at this deal and go, hey, here's what I heard. And Khaled, I know you're being really transparent, which I appreciate it. I heard dog with fleas, right? From an investment standpoint. And I heard, I want to get rid of it. But then I also hear, I got to come up with this $100,000. So If somebody could come into this deal with a low down payment or any down payment at all, takeover payments, what would be the longest amount of time you could give that buyer to refinance out the $100,000 and your equity? Would you do it up to 5 years?
I don't completely understand, but so let me ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that the buyer would pay $3,000 or whatever to just cover the cost, so we're not out any money,
right,
for X number of years. And then when the time comes, let's say there's a balloon in 5 years, that they would just pay us out completely.
Yeah, they'd refinance you, they'd sell it, they'd do whatever, right? So,
right.
And the other thing I look at too is that you've got $3,000 that you have in it as an expense between your first position loan and then your second position personal loan. So you're about $3,000. But then I also realize, okay, well, I've got vacancy. You're not breaking even at $3,000 a month. You've got vacancy. You've probably had some repairs in the last 5 months that your tenants have asked you to repair. You've probably had maybe other vacancies and stuff like that. So you would get rid of the vacancy. You'd get rid of the repairs. Like you would actually make a return based on your current situation by just letting somebody take over the $3,000 payments. Does that make sense? You'd go from hemorrhaging right now to not hemorrhaging, which is a net gain to you financially. The other thing I'm thinking too is like, why wouldn't you just do a Morby method on this deal? You know, like why couldn't you just go get a loan from myinvestorloan.com, have them bring 70% to the table and you carry the other portion of your equity in second position for a number of years? Would you be open to something like that?
I hear what you're saying. I don't quite understand it.
Here's how simple it is. Effie goes and gets a loan, right? She goes to myinvestorloan.com. My Investor Loan says, hey, Khaled wants to buy, you want to sell it for $420, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they basically come to the table and they say, we will give Effie a loan for $340,000 to pay off the first position, the second position, but Effie's going to have to come to the table with the remaining $80,000 in cash to pay Khaled all the way off, right?
Yep.
So
right.
this would be a normal cash transaction.
Right.
In a Morby method, that $80,000 that you would receive technically, you go, I don't need the 80 grand right now. I will just seller finance that to you. And you don't need to pay that right now. I just want to get the first and the second position paid off. And the other 80%, I'll seller finance it to you. So that Effie technically is out of pocket, no money, but your first position's paid off, your second position is paid off, and all you have to do is seller finance the remaining equity.
I'd be very interested in that.
Okay, cool. So Morby method might be a really good strategy. But then in that situation, she could just easily get the deal done in the next week or 3 days or 3 minutes if you just said, yeah, take over my first lien position sub 2, take over my mother-in-law's line of credit sub 2, give me a little bit of money in my pocket up front, and then I want a balloon in 2 years, 3 years, 7 years, whatever it is that fits your fancy and also what Effie can really make work. Is there a timeline that would work for you other than immediately?
Yeah, I mean, if we can get the two positions, you know, off of our backs, you know, the first and the second, so to speak, then we would be, yeah, I mean, there's no hurry in that case. I will tell you though that there was a 5-year balloon on the commercial loan that is due in 2 years.
Got it. Okay, so
year and a half.
So our corporate loan has got a balloon regardless of 2 years. So even if we took that over sub 2, we would still have to go refinance that out in 2 years. So, okay, so there I see a couple scenarios here. Scenario number 1, we take over the first and the second subject to. We have a balloon for the first and second of 24 months. And in that time frame, we go out and we get new debt on it and wipe out the first and second. Okay?
Right.
That way somebody can move into that property right now, start making payments. You stop hemorrhaging, you stop worrying about it. The person who buys the property from you immediately becomes responsible for the taxes, the insurance, the repairs, all that stuff. So you're like, I'm good. Okay.
Right.
And I know the buyer. I know the buyer has inherited capital. So you're essentially selling this on seller finance to a buyer that has capital behind her.
Right.
So you have a vetted, bona fide good buyer in this situation, if for whatever that's worth, right?
Right.
The problem I see with a Morby method, right, is that I see the market trending downward. And I also see the market interest rates are going to go up before the buyer comes in and secures that loan.
Correct.
So a Morby method would work for both parties, but it would kind of hurt that buyer having to jump into a loan at 7.5% or 8% interest right now. Whereas if she was given 2 years to go secure that loan, she might be able to get into a situation where she'll be closer to 4.5% as interest rates make their way back down.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally understand.
So I'm going to propose something. What I propose is you sell it sub 2 on the first and the second position. You give her 2 years to refinance those positions out, and then you sell her carry whatever the remaining balance is of the equity past that point. Or maybe in 2 years, she can refinance you all the way out, or a good portion of your equity, she can get you all the way out.
Yeah, makes sense. And then just for my understanding, so if for whatever reason the deal goes south, she's coming with no money up front. So what happens in 12 months or 24 months if the ship hits the fan and she's like, you know what, I don't want any of this. I want out.
No offense, Khaled, but I think the shit already hit the fan. You've been holding a dog with fleas for 5 years and hemorrhaging capital, even though you don't see it. It's kind of sneaking its way out of your bank account.
Oh no, I see it. No, I see it.
Okay.
I get it. I'm not. Yeah. No,
but let's do a worst case scenario. You could sell this on a land contract, so you hold the deed, right? You could hold the deed for protection in that situation if that's the thing you're overly worried about.
That doesn't excite me.
Well, I think the conversation is always from me as the buyer. I'm always looking for a zero down deal. You don't even care about the capital. That's what it sounds like. You care about the security.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Then I think the conversation I got to have with Effie is, okay, well, what does that look like? Is there a down payment that's needed here? And if there is, then let's figure that out. But it sounds like the overall structure of the deal is pretty simple. Take the second sub 2, give her 24 months to get a lower interest rate loan, wipe you out, and whatever amount she can get to wipe out your first, second, and then some, she'll be required to wipe out whatever she possibly can of your equity, whatever's left over from your equity at that point in 24 months, and you would sell or finance that to her for, let's say, another 3 years, hypothetically.
Okay.
And then we just got to figure, it sounds like that actually is pretty decent of an idea for you. Just the remaining part of it is the security of the deal, so you never have to deal with this dog ever again.
Right. Well, there's two things, and I mentioned this in the beginning, is I have to pay the realtor.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Totally get that.
So, and she's because she's worked her tail off. If there was any money up front out of pocket, it would go to the realtor, whatever that amount is.
Totally get that. Have you thought about just dumping the property for 360, 370, 380 and just getting rid of it and not having to deal with this ever again?
Well, we listed it for 440 and we're showing it like crazy. No offers. So next week we're going down to 420.
Got it.
We'll see what happens. I mean, it's the perfect storm for a dog with fleas.
I got it. I totally get it. I had a property I bought years ago and I let one of my foremen live in the house. I was like, I don't want to give you a raise because every time I give you a raise, you spend more money and you come back to me for a raise so you can go buy a house. So I give you a raise, you spend money, you can't buy a house. You come back to me, ask me for a raise. I give you a raise, you spend more money, you can't buy a house. So I decided I'm just going to buy him a house, right?
Right. Every
little thing possible went wrong, not with my tenant, not with my foreman, not with my guy I helped buy the house, but with the house itself. And it was just, it was like sinking floor, the concrete, the ceiling, the fence line was on the neighbor's line. They had a survey. We had to pull out the fence, do a new, it's like every little thing. You're like, dude, can I just live my freaking life? And it sounds like that's kind of the situation you're in right now in this house, but you also don't want the house ever to come back to you. It sounds like we've at least closed the door behind us in terms of the negotiating strategy of like, this is an overall structure, good structure. We just got to figure out the security part of it. Is that correct?
Yeah. The security and the realtor.
Okay, got it. What if we paid the realtor over the course of like 3 or 4 months? Would they be open to something like that?
I don't know. I can ask.
Okay, so maybe the real estate agent gets their commission, but gets it paid over a couple of months or something like that to make it easier for the buyer to move in.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally get it. This is the only thing that there's 2 things you're winning on here, right? The thing you're winning on right now is convenience, and you're winning on price. Okay. The thing you're not winning on is that you got to hold that money for an extended period of time and you're not going to get a big down payment down, right? So there's a couple, it seems like a fair trade, but we just got to figure out how to make you secure and make that agent happy too. All right, brother, let me touch base with the buyer and we'll figure it out, and either I'll shoot you a call or they'll shoot you a call and let's figure it out. Sounds like it's a small little detail we got to figure out.
You got it. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, brother. See ya.
Okay. So what would you like me to say? I heard.
I mean, you heard the conversation. What are your thoughts on it? I'm just negotiating. If I was the buyer, what would I want to structure? And that's how I would structure it.
Okay.
What do you not like about it, Effie? Come on, you gotta be vocal. Tell me out.
Okay.
Here.
What I don't like is that the realtor has only been on board for 1 week, and
Effie, we don't act like that. If
I
somebody,
know, but here's the thing: Seth brought the deal.
Okay, great. Then don't buy the deal.
Oh, that's dumb. Okay. All right.
People should be paid.
I understand that.
And it's not about how you feel about the agent. It's about how Khaled has to be respectable to an agent that he brought onto the table. I feel the same way. If I brought an agent on the table, what I would do, definitely, for sure, I think you have a valid argument. The argument, I think, is, hey, maybe your agent doesn't deserve a full commission. Maybe your agent deserves a reduced commission, and maybe we can make payments towards that. But them not making anything, I think, is being really strong.
Right. It's just that I didn't get it from Seth brought the deal. So I think that he should split the commission with Seth. Okay.
Yeah. I think that's a perfectly valid way to approach it, for sure. What else do you not like about the deal? I just negotiated a $0 deal for you.
I think I'm fine with it.
Here's just to kind of cap that off. Okay. So he's got a 2-year balloon on that first position. He can't do anything about that. It's not about how you feel about it. It's not how I feel about it.
Right.
And so at some point, you're going to have to refinance him out.
Yep.
Okay. And if it was me, it's a $0 deal. I would be jumping up and down and doing a cartwheel.
I'm excited.
Okay, cool. A $0 deal. The challenge is the 2-year balloon that Khaled, the seller, has no control over. So we got to make sure that that is fully in line. And what I would be doing is right now, actually, I would structure the deal that way. And then I would also simultaneously go to like My Investor Loan or Tanya Turner or somebody like that and go, what would you guys give me? Could I wipe out the 340 with a loan right now, like a non-recourse DSCR loan? Could I go get a DSCR loan to wipe out that 340 today? Because if you can, and you lock in that interest rate, Khaled, the seller, gets taken care of. You have no balloon.
Yeah.
And you worry about any of that stuff. So I would definitely do the deal that we just structured, but simultaneously in the background, I would be looking, even if it was just for exercise, let me watch and see what I could do here. I would see if I could take care of him in that regard and also get rid of the stress of a 24-month balloon.
I agree.
Is it a cute house?
Yes, it's very cute.
The only rock in the boot, right? The only little pebble in your sandal is the 2-year balloon.
Right.
Yeah, but I think with the amount of seller carry he's giving you, a Morby method could work just about any time.
I think so too. I think that way I believe it will work. I believe it will work. And the only concern I had is Seth not being involved. So because I'm grateful to him. So if that realtor can do that.
Yeah, that's where I would go. My next step would be taking over the first and the second, $0, making sure the agent is paid and you pay the closing costs, and the agent splits his commissions with Seth. That's the way I would do the deal.
Okay, that sounds great to me.
Great work. Good job. You got your first
Great work. My God, I love you.
You got a $0 deal.
I know.
Celestine says, can we please talk the numbers on this deal? So just so you guys know, Effie's moving in the house. Write this down. Who is the only human being that doesn't care about buying a house, whether it cash flows or not? Who's the only person that doesn't care about that? A person who's going to live in the house. A homestead buyer, as we call them, right? They're buying their homestead. This is where Effie's going to live. So do you think she cares about the deal cash flowing? No.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Effie. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.